Did I make a mistake not getting these whiskeys when I had the chance? Here's a list of the top 8 whiskeys I passed on in 2023. Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bourbon Hutch, and thanks so much for joining me on this journey through the world of whiskey. So, as whiskey consumers, and even me, as somebody who has a whiskey YouTube channel, I often go into a liquor store, see a bottle that I know is allocated, or special, or has been hyped up, or I've never tasted before. And for various reasons, whether it's price point, current budget, or just sort of not knowing enough about the bottle to pull the trigger, there's a lot of times that I just walk on by and pass. This year, I did that quite a bit. Actually came up with a list of 8 things that I remember specifically seeing and kind of debating in the store whether I should get, and didn't end up buying. Some I'm okay with, some I've come to regret quite a bit. So wanted to dive into that list, see if you guys can relate. I'm sure maybe some of these will be on your own list of things you passed on, and we'll kind of break down the reasons as we go of why I didn't get these specific bottles. Let's get into the list. We'll start with a 2-for-1 from the same distillery, and that is going to be Woodford Reserve Batch Proof and the Woodford Reserve Masters Collection Sonoma Triple Finish. So both of these bottles I saw on shelves. One, I even saw the batch proof I saw at Costco for a little bit below MSRP. That is still in the $130-ish range if I'm not mistaken. And a similar story with the Sonoma Finish. I saw that and it was somewhere around 170, 180 bucks to buy, which was disappointing. I wouldn't necessarily say that I'm the biggest Woodford fan. I do enjoy their standard stuff. I love the double oak, but that's just too much for products that I've heard mixed things about and that I know those lineups are kind of hit or miss. So for me, it was just tough to justify buying either of those. And from what I can tell, both were solid. It just seems like maybe they're not worth quite the price point they're going for these days. Next, we've actually got another 2-for-1 from the same distillery, same kind of lineup even, and that is going to be Booker's and Little Book. So this year I passed on the last batch of Booker's, the Storyteller batch. One of the reasons is I already have Charlie's batch and the Mighty Fine batch from this year, both of which are hitters and that have gotten lots of great reviews. I've seen some pretty good reviews of Storyteller batch as well, but for right around 90 bucks, I just don't want to keep consistently paying for every batch of Booker's every year. I don't love it enough to justify that. So I kind of held back. I think 2 batches from this year is totally suitable, and I'm glad both of those are really, really good stuff. The Little Book is another story. I saw that again at Costco for around 100 and I think it was 138, right around 140. So still pretty pricey. Wish I had seen it for more around like 100, and then I definitely would have bought it. But at the time, there was 1 bottle sitting there left, and I couldn't justify it in the moment. I didn't know enough about it. It was still early on when it had just been released, and I kind of looked up some reviews hastily to decide, because I knew there was 1 sitting there, and there just wasn't enough out there yet to say this is a phenomenal release. Turns out a lot of people say it's like a sneaky contender for Whiskey of the Year, so I do wish I had picked that one up, but hey, you can't get every buying decision right there in the moment. All right, so the next bottle on my list is kind of an interesting one. It's from a distillery I love and think is awesome. It just came at the wrong time for me, and that is going to be Redwood Empire Grizzly Beast. So I saw this sitting on shelves. It was for 100 bucks, which I know that these retail around 80, so I knew it was a little bit marked up. And that just made me hesitate. This was kind of the point of my whiskey hunting journey this year where I had spent a lot of money recently. One of the bottles I had bought was the Master's Keep Voyage, which is 250 bucks when I bought it. And I was feeling the budget hit, and I just couldn't justify $100, especially on like a 5-year-old bottled in bond product. I know that they're really good. I know that I have the Rocket Top Rye, which I got again for that 80 bucks at retail. So I think it's a little bit more fair at that price. And I love that stuff. Love Redwood Empire. But again, I think maybe a lot of people can relate. It just came at a time of the year where I had already spent a lot on bourbon and I needed to reel it in, so I couldn't grab it. Next on my list is a new brand, one that got a lot of hype when it first got released because of the person behind it, but has seemingly gotten, mixed reviews, and that is Hidden Barn. It's Jackie Zykan, who used to be at Old Forester. She pivoted over to do her own thing, which good on her for making that choice. But by all accounts, Hidden Barn is a little bit young and maybe not quite up to the standard people were hoping for. At least that's what I've heard. So every time I've seen it, I've been tempted. It's a little pricey. It's usually like 70, 80 bucks. And I've just continually passed on it until I hear that the brand is kind of up on its feet and really impressing, which I trust Jackie will get it to that point. I'm probably going to continue to pass until I know that they've sort of established themselves. All right, next on the list is actually the most recent one that I passed on. One of the reasons I made this video is because I passed on this today, and that is the Yellowstone limited release for 2023. I believe it's finished in like Tokai barrels. Really interesting one. Never had a bottle of the Yellowstone. I've heard mixed things. One, it's lower proof, it's like 101 proof, so that always makes me hesitate when you're paying that much. I think it was available for like 110, 115, so it's quite a good amount of money. And this is one that ultimately I'm okay passing on because I did look up reviews after I left the store, and they're kind of mixed. Not great, nothing special. It seems to be this release was this year, so glad I passed on that one. And it's just another tip, like, hey, do your research. If you need to step away from the store or even just in the aisle, you're welcome to look up what other people are saying about the bottle before you buy it, and often that'll make the decision for you. All right, last on the list, I have saved the one that I regret the most for this final piece on the list, and that is Baker's 13. I went down to the Kentucky Bourbon Festival this year, which is where I got my bottle of Elijah Craig C923. Maybe the best bottle of the year. So can't really be disappointed with how the whole experience went. Loved my couple of days down there and got a great bottle out of it. But another bottle I saw, which was kind of brand new release at that time, was Baker's 13. I looked up for reviews. There's basically nothing out there yet. It's nice that the Kentucky Bourbon Festival gives you early access to stuff like that, but the downside is I had no idea how good it was. I should have pulled the trigger though. Even though it's expensive, I should have gotten it because I love the Baker's 7-year-old single barrel that I have, and I should have just trusted that almost doubling the age could only make it better. Of course, I've seen lots of great reviews for the bottle after the fact, and I have not yet seen another bottle of it on shelves. So it's a little bit of a shame. Definitely disappointed that I didn't grab it at that moment. It's tough when you have no real information on a bottle, but I probably should have been a little bit braver and trusted my instincts there, and I didn't. So that's a shame. Anyway, that wraps it up. Those are the whiskeys this year that I passed on when I saw them, when I had the deliberate chance to get them. Some were marked up too much or too high to justify the price. Some came at the wrong time for me, and some I just didn't have enough information to make an informed decision, and now I feel like I made the wrong decision. Anyway, I want to hear from you guys. Let me know what goes on your list this year of bottles you didn't end up getting. Are there any that you particularly regret? And what can we do going forward in 2024? All we can do is keep doing our best, try to make informed decisions, and trust that we're going to get the bottles that are right for us throughout the year. Until I see you guys again for another video, all I can say is keep drinking good whiskey, don't wallow in the regret too much this year, and cheers.